Welcome back to pregame.tv. Sunday NFL action. We're going to take a look at St. Louis at Houston. Ken, the Houston Texans, my God. Again last week, it's amazing. I can't,
I know, you're tongue-tied. It's the way you feel if you're a Houston fan.
What do? You look at the stats. Cover up the score for a second. Houston had last week 131 yards rushing, 182 yards passing. Not great. Okay, so you'd think, okay, yeah, they did lose. Well, let me give you San Francisco's stats in that game. 177 yards on the ground. That's impressive. They only had 107 yards passing.
6 of 15 for Kaepernick.
Yeah. And the score was 34-3. How does that happen? Well, 4 turnovers, a pick 6 again. What is wrong with Matt Schaub?
It's getting psychological. Now it's 4 games in a row with that pick 6. They even had that sandwich, or the burger, I guess, one of the teams. You put 6 toppings. You choose your 6 toppings down there in Houston. Again, it's sad. And then we're taping on Wednesday night, and I guess earlier today or last night, you had people in his neighborhood, kind of getting on his case and whatnot, taking pictures of the family, whatever. All this stuff's kind of, you got conflicting stories. But still, it's not good. He's a Jersey guy. I happen to like him. I liked him when he was at Virginia. He's shown a lot of promise. He's had one of those 500 games like Romo had the other day against Denver. He's a guy that when he's focused, when he's in his zone, he is solid. There is no doubt. Right now, I think he's thinking about it. You start thinking about it and aiming the ball. It's almost like basketball. Can't aim it. Just got to grab it, rear back, and fire. He's got to do that, and he's got to do that this weekend, or he's going to lose his job. Yates will be in there.
Yeah, it's almost like, go make a baseball reference and go to my Pittsburgh Pirates. Remember when Steve Blass couldn't the Steve Blass syndrome and couldn't hit the plate, and then there was a guy a couple of years.
Steve Sachs for the Dodgers couldn't throw to first.
And
you had the other guy, Wohlers. Wohlers couldn't do it for Atlanta.
St. Louis Cardinals, Rick Ankiel.
Right, and had to move to the outfield.
Yeah, it's just when something happens and becomes mental, it's beyond it's beyond mechanics, and we're starting to get to that point where we got to worry about it. But boy, if there was ever a team to come in to save the day right now, I think for Houston, it's the Rams. I don't like this Rams team. I didn't like the Rams team coming into the season. A lot of people were high on them. I said this team was going to struggle this year. They are one-dimensional, Ken. They can't run the football, and it's putting too much pressure on Bradford. He can't win games throwing the ball as many times as the Rams are throwing the football, and this is still a very, very good Houston defense.
I'll agree with you as far as with Richardson being the guy that they chose to replace Steven Jackson beginning of the year. I said he wasn't the answer. He's a speed guy. He's a guy I'd like to get in there, third down situations, flare him out like a Lydell Mitchell from Burt Jones, that type of guy. Now, they brought in Zach Stacy last week, and he had the kid out of Vanderbilt, and he ran pretty hard, had 78 yards. So maybe they changed some things. We'll wait and see. That was against Jacksonville, and they struggled out of the gate against Jacksonville. I mean, Blackman just coming back right away, scored a touchdown, 36-yarder.
Before I kick it to you to make it official, I wanted to elaborate on that Jacksonville game. This St. Louis defense has made every quarterback look good. They're putting up their best numbers of the season every time they face St. Louis. In Jacksonville, we know all the problems they've had this year. They put up, he was 16 of 32, so they only completed 50%, but they put up 267 yards. St. Louis only won by 14 points. Jacksonville's been getting throttled by everybody, but they had 3 turnovers, Jacksonville to 0 for St. Louis, and that got them the 14-point win. This is not a good St. Louis team. I'm curious to hear what you have to say, so let's go ahead and make it official.
Sounds good. It's a good point by Marco, too. And if you laid the 11.5 with St. Louis, when Jacksonville cut it to 27-20, you're probably stressing. They did come back and get the second touchdown pass from Bradford to Pettis, and that turned out to be the difference in covering of the line. But, again, St. Louis, they're struggling to just get continuity on both sides of the ball. Marco talked about the defense. They were actually outgained in that game, 363 to 351 by Jacksonville. That's never a stat you want to see. Bradford, one thing he did do well last week, he didn't turn the ball over, 222 yards. yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 of them to Pettis, as I told you. Richardson has been basically a joke out of the backfield, 2.9 yards a carry in the first 5 games, and that won't get it done. But like I said, Zach Stacy, the kid from Vandy, stepped in, got 78 yards in that game, and that may be the way that they look as far as that running game. Pettis, Quick, Austin, Cook, Givens, not bad receivers, but a lot of short routes and a lot of predictable routes, especially to Austin, crossing over the middle, and I think that's where they're going to be in trouble against Houston. Why? Because when you have a team that brings a pass rush on Bradford, gets in his face, he's uncomfortable. We saw Arizona do it in the opener, and Arizona probably should have won that game. They end up losing that game in overtime to the Rams. But you got Cushing and Watt. Those 2 guys are going to come after the quarterback. And then it's merciless. He's a guy with 4.5 sacks already out of his 16 tackles. He's another guy that's going to bring pressure big time for Houston. Manning, Jackson, Reed, Joseph, more pressure, good man-to-man coverage. So Houston's defense is going to clamp down. Now, what can Houston do on offense? I mean, Arian Foster, Ben Tate, 636 yards between them. 1 freaking touchdown. Are you kidding me? How about Andre Johnson? 37 receptions, 407 yards. How many touchdowns? 0. I mean, this is an offense that you look at the names. How can they not get it done? Now, their most productive guy as far as touchdowns, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Owen Daniels, the tight end. But they're fortunate that they have Garrett Graham, the rookie out of Bricktown, New Jersey, baby, right near Jackson, New Jersey, where I graduated high school over there in Ocean County. So he's a kid. He's got 3 touchdowns himself. He'll be an adequate replacement there for Daniels. He's a kid that gets open, uses his body well, a la Antonio Gates, gets open, kind of boxes out. That type of guy, a good possession receiver. I'm looking for this to be Houston's game where Schaub comes out of his shell and just says, you know what? Screw it. Just, I'm going for it. And he airs it out, and they blow out the Rams the same way Dallas did, somewhere in the neighborhood of that same score, 31-7. I'm looking for Houston to win this game somewhere in the neighborhood of 34-10, maybe 34-13. I really think this is Houston's game where they're going to keep Matt Schaub as the starting quarterback. They're going to let the Colts and Tennessee know, hey, AFC South is still our division. We're coming back. We've got a lot to offer. And they do. There's no doubt that this team defensively, when you have a J.J. Watt, and you have a Brian Cushion, and you have a guy like Merciless, your defense is your strength. You need to set up some short fields. They do need to run the ball a little bit more, but not just off tackle with Foster and Tate. Get those guys the little flare passes. Get them out in open space, open field. Take some pressure off Schaub early, and Matt Schaub, just go back, wing the ball down the field. Don't throw those little predictable out patterns that are going to be pick six, return back. Go for it, and stay away from Laurinaitis. We know he's the best guy as far as that St. Louis defense. And the way that Laurinaitis goes, so goes the Ram defense. But they don't have enough weapons to slow down Houston if Schaub doesn't think about throwing the football. Just go out and do it.
All right, good stuff, Ken. And I'll just add to you, I agree with you. I think I think Houston covers the spread here. I think Houston is an outstanding wager on teasers this week. Just bring that down to where they just got to win the game. I think is a great spot, and I'm going to have them in several of my personal teasers this week. So there you have it, guys. Take the Houston Texans, lay the points. Matt Schaub gets it done, Ken says this week. We're coming back. We've got one final video. We're going to go to the NFL. We're going to take a look at Green Bay at Baltimore. That's my free play up next here on pregame.tv.